Hare Krishna devotees, welcome to Shloka a day. Today's Shloka number 60 of chapter 18. Svabhavajena kaunteya
Svabhavajena kaunteya
nibaddhasvena karmana
nibaddha svena karmana
kartum nechasi yanmohat
kartum nechasi yanmohat
karishyasya vashopi tat.
karishyasya vashopi tat.
Word for word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Swabhava Jena,
Svabhavajena,
born of your own nature.
born of your own nature.
Kaunteya,
Kaunteya,
son of Kunti.
O son of Kunti,
Nibaddha,
nibaddha,
conditioned.
conditioned,
Svena,
svena,
by your own.
by your own
Karmana,
karmana,
activities.
activities,
Kartum,
kartum,
to do.
to do,
Na,
na,
not.
not,
Ichchasi,
ichchasi,
you like.
you like,
Yat,
yat,
that which.
that which,
Mohat,
mohat,
by illusion.
by illusion,
Karishyasi,
karishyasi,
you will do.
you will do,
Avashaha,
avashaha,
involuntarily.
involuntarily,
Api,
api,
even.
even,
Tat,
tat,
that.
that.
Translation. Under illusion,
Under illusion,
you are now declining to act
you are now declining to act
according to my direction,
according to my direction,
but
but
compelled by the work,
compelled by the work,
born of your own nature,
born of your own nature,
you will act all the same,
you will act all the same,
O son of Kunti.
O son of Kunti.
So Prabhupada writes a very short purport. If one refuses to act under the direction of the Supreme Lord, then he is compelled to act by the modes in which he is situated. Everyone is under the spell of a particular combination of the modes of nature and is acting in that way. But anyone who voluntarily engages himself under the direction of the Supreme Lord becomes glorious. So, if you really examine this shloka and this very short but very clear purport written by Srila Prabhupada, we come to the understanding of just two things. One is we always follow the instructions of the Lord. If we always follow the instructions of the Lord, then we are acting under the Lord's supervision directly. The only other option we have is we follow the instructions of the three modes because we are compelled to act under the influence of the three modes. Yesterday, as we were discussing, when we say things like, I am angry, or I am jealous, or I am hungry, I am this, I am that, you are actually not talking about the soul at all. You are only talking about the body. So we have to constantly remind ourselves, if we are genuinely have the belief that we are the spirit soul, then the spirit soul's only duty is to actually perform bhakti, loving devotional service towards the Supreme Lord. But oftentimes we get confused. Sometimes we think we are the spirit soul, therefore we are doing some bhakti yoga. Sometimes we are actually, most of the times, we are always thinking this I is this body, this subtle body, this gross body. That is where the confusion and distraction for us arises. Every time we think I am this body, this is my relative, this is my friend, this is whatever, fill in the blank, or whatever it is, I am upset, I am angry, I am sad, I am depressed. That I is actually your body. So that I can never be the soul, because the soul can never be upset, the soul can never be angry. the soul can never be depressed because the soul is eternally Satchidananda. That level of realization is the highest form of realization. It is very hard to achieve this level of realization, but is it feasible? Yes. So we have to constantly remind ourselves, whenever we say I, who are we referring to? Are we genuinely talking about the spirit soul when we say I? Or are we mistakenly using the I to reference our body, the physical body and the subtle body? That is why great Mahatmas, they don't worry about what is happening to their physical body or even their mind, right? Because they become the master of the mind. Why do we use the word Swami? Especially Goswami, which means they've conquered the mind, which means they no longer listen to the mind because they know the mind, they have subdued their mind to become their servant. They identify only with the spirit soul. So here Prabhupada has written very beautifully that if we don't follow the instructions of the Lord, then we will follow the instructions of the three gunas. Whatever the three gunas, however they are influencing you, that is what you'll end up doing. From another parampara. Continuing his words of warning, Shri Krishna further elaborates on the previous theme. He says, due to your samskaras of your past lives, you have a kshatriya nature. Your inborn qualities of heroism, chivalry, and patriotism will compel you to fight. You have been trained in past lifetimes and in this one to honor your duty as a warrior. Is it possible for you to be inactive when you see injustice being meted out to others in front of your eyes? So if Arjuna were to see injustice committed in front of his eyes, if he removes the factor of this is my family, would he not act to correct it? He would. Here, he's just overwhelmed by the fact that he's engaged in a personal relationship. Your nature and inclinations are such that you vehemently oppose evil wherever you see it. Therefore, it is beneficial for you to fight in accordance with my instructions, rather than be compelled by your nature to do the same. So in a way, Krishna is saying, set aside your nature and only follow my instructions. Very difficult to do because we oftentimes forget that we are the spirit soul. His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu says, Kartum nechasi anmohat, na plus ichasi, not wanting to do. If you will desire that I will not do it, my swabhava or nirikta karma, the karma according to my swabhava, then what will happen? Karishyasi avashopitat, then helplessly you will be forced to act according to your swabhava later on. So here we have to be very careful. Krishna is talking about swabhava. He's not talking about vasana. Vasana has to be regulated. In chapters 3, shlokas 36 to 43, the whole section is talking about conquering lust. So this swabhava doesn't include desire, which are because of lust, anger, pride, greed, and illusion. It refers to vritti and not to vasana, as per our varna, nature. And acting according to our nature is indispensable. We have to act according to this nature. So to clarify this even further, we can read the commentary by His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. We are bound to act according to nature, to our nature. What does this mean, our nature? Because even our nature is not our, if you say that our is the soul, right? The soul's only nature is to be Satchidananda. Does Krishna's statement in this shloka that we are bound to act according to our nature leave any scope for free will? If we are so compelled by the three gunas, do we really have free will? If it didn't, why would Krishna even bother to guide Arjuna by speaking the Gita? That means there is a way you can conquer the three gunas. Though we can't change our psychophysical nature, that fact doesn't take away our free will. It just delimits the scope of our free will, which means we ourselves are restricting our free will when we come under the influence of the three gunas. If we separate ourselves from our mind and our intelligence, then your free will immediately increases, right? Because your perspective has changed. Your framework with which you're looking at yourself and your life and the situation changes. Krishna points to this very subtle truth through the analogy of a machine. The next shloka, which Krishna will use the word yantra. We can compare our body to a car and our nature to the car's basic capacity and functionality. That we can't change our nature means that, say, we can't get a Fiat to speed like a racing car. Nonetheless, we can choose two important things: how we drive our car, carefully or recklessly, and where we drive our car. So I hope this analogy is very clear. We cannot change our body and our subtle body simply because it is programmed in a certain way. But just because it is programmed in a certain way does not mean we cannot choose how to drive the car and where to drive the car. So that means we can choose how we respond to situations and what the objective and goal of our life is. Two things that are in the soul's control, which is how to drive and where to drive the destination. Say toward home or away from it. We don't have to become passive passengers while the car goes on auto drive mode and takes us someplace where we don't want to go. Which means these great Mahatmas, sometimes they go through intense physical, bodily suffering, but they still don't seem to be too bothered by it, because they have understood that this body will continue to function as it's supposed to function. But they look beyond the body and focus on what is actually their genuine duty, which is to serve the Supreme Lord. Just because we can't change our nature doesn't mean we have to be controlled by it, right? So let us say, I always get angry. I can't help myself. I can't help myself. But that doesn't mean we can't distance ourselves from our true nature and look at ourselves in a very objective manner and say, yeah, this is the mind trying to dictate to me what I should do, how I should feel. So let me get away from the mind and understand that, yes, this body is going to undergo some amount of suffering, some amount of pain, some amount of happiness. All of this is already programmed. So why should I respond to it? So you have to distinguish every time when you say I, who are you referring to? So when you come to the conclusion, when you just ask yourself, I am angry. So ask yourself, who is actually angry? It's the mind that is telling you you should be angry, or the mind is experiencing that anger. But the soul can never experience that anger. It is always Satchidananda. But because the soul is covered, that is why Prabhupada uses the word frequently, your consciousness is covered, your consciousness is covered. So if the consciousness is covered, then you begin to identify with your body. So that is why when we say we are sadhana bhaktas and we are devotees, it means we're trying to practice to overcome how these three modes actually control us. So we are still practitioners. But when we look at another devotee, we always bow down because they have started that journey and therefore they are worthy of our worship. Other than that, we have to constantly get into the habit of asking ourselves the question, when I say I, who's the I that I'm referring to? And maybe that'll help us distance ourselves a little bit from the mind and focus on what is really important, which is to serve the Supreme Lord, to serve Guru, and to serve the Vaishnavas. By serving the Vaishnavas, you automatically please Guru, and by pleasing Guru, you've automatically pleased Krishna. So just because we can't change our nature doesn't mean we have to be controlled by it. We can work with it cooperatively and constructively. How? First, by becoming conscious through vigilant self-observation. That is what we just discussed. We have to question ourselves every time we are experiencing an emotion. Why? Who is that I? Thus, we can better detect and prevent the car's auto drive function from taking over. Second, by becoming Krishna conscious, knowing that Krishna is the indwelling controller of nature and well-wisher of all of us. Thus, his grace will guide and empower us to choose the best destination and drive toward it most effectively. So whether you drive your car carefully or recklessly, that you have to distance yourself from your mind and the gunas. Which destination you drive towards, ultimately, if you are taking care of realizing that you are not this body and you are there to serve Krishna, if you begin that journey, then Krishna himself will take you to the right destination. Thus, his grace will guide and empower us to choose the best destination and drive toward it most effectively. Pertinently, Krishna concludes this section by urging Arjuna to surrender to the indwelling Lord. And that we will come to in Shloka number 62. That we have to act according to our nature means that we can't change the basic way of functioning of our bodily car. Still, we can change how we drive it and toward where we drive it. So you do have free will. So whenever Krishna says you are compelled by your nature to act in a certain way, Krishna is not saying you can't overcome. Krishna is clearly telling you how you can overcome the compulsions of the three gunas that you are under the control of. So hence Krishna is saying, under illusion. What illusion? Arjuna is thinking, these are all my family members. That's my guru, my grandfather. Under illusion, you are now declining to act according to my direction. But compelled by the work born of your own nature, you will act all the same, O son of Kunti. So remember how this chapter began. That Arjuna is asking the difference between sannyas and tyaga. And Krishna says, tyaga is the better focus for a grahastha. Because they have to act with the spirit of renunciation without being fully renounced in the true sense of the word. So it's a very nice shloka and very perfect purport written by Prabhupada in just 2 or 3 sentences. So we can really, really contemplate on the shloka and understand frequently why do we feel we are not in control of our own lives. So that's the essence of this particular shloka.
If you like our videos, please subscribe to our channel and turn on the bell notification. If you'd like to join our classes every day, please check the details in the description section of this video. We look forward to serving you.